Right now, we're still in negotiation with the teachers, and we're also talking about negotiation with administration, those which include not just administrators, but also some of the administrative assistants that we have, technology, people like that who are not part of the collective bargaining units. So I'm suggesting that we need to set aside some amount of money to cover potential costs in that area. We also went through a whole process of developing a district improvement plan, and one of the things I wanted to make sure we did, prior district improvement plans had a lot of nice ideas, things we should be doing, but it never correlated what the district wanted to do to improve with how much is that going to cost. So this time, as we went through preparing a district improvement plan for the next 3 years, I decided before we even put it in front of anybody and get it approved by the school committee, I want to make sure people know how much it is going to cost to develop improvement plans or to put out initiatives that would hopefully make some improvements in the district. So kind of listed them there. Between the salary increases and the district improvement plans, and perhaps trying to recover some of the costs in terms of staffing from last year to this year, we're looking at least $500,000. That is not included in the basic budget that the town would expect us to bring before them. If we would like to do any of these things, for example, the accreditation studies, that have to happen, or else we're going to be put behind the 8 ball. I know the Macomber School would lose one of their grants, at least. We would probably be in jeopardy of some of the other grants, especially here at the high school. Those are some of the things that we should be doing, but we don't have money to do it. So it's either going to have to be an increase over last year's budget to cover these costs, or we have to do other things. So here's where I go to the next slide. The additional funding can come from only one of two places at this point. Either there have to be increases in fees and other revenue sources, or we have to make cuts. Obviously, the town is looking at some reductions at the town level in terms of the money coming to them from the state. We're losing $200,000+ in ARA funding, or federal stimulus funding, and I know the town's losing anywhere between $70,000 and $80,000. So we're all losing funding. We may offset some of that with increased levy to the 2.5 limit. But I also know the town is experiencing other growth in costs, such as snow and ice for this past year. So no matter how we look at this, there's either going to have to be cuts to provide some of those things that were on the previous list, or we're going to have to increase some of our funding sources. Some of those cuts, and again, no decisions have been made. These are just proposals, brainstorming what could be done, and how much money they would generate, and these are just estimates. One of them would be sports. Right now, sports are still being supported by the actual budget to the tune of about $100,000. Activities for about $38,000. We do have the ability to reduce kindergarten to half-time. However, by doing so, we don't really save as much money as we think we could. Because right now, because we have full-day kindergarten, we have an $80,000 grant that we would lose. So by reducing to half-time kindergarten, we would put out a lot of people, and at the same time, would only net us about $30,000. But it could be done. We also talked about the idea of perhaps reducing the length of the school day at the elementary and the Macomber to allow us to reduce the number of staff that we need. By doing so, you're right, it would cut PE, art, and music. Not things that I want to cut, but it is one thing that's a possibility. It would require us to work with the buses to try to figure a way to make the buses more efficient so that we would actually be able to transport everybody home on the same buses. So we're hoping if we were to go in that direction, we could make about $160,000. Yes, that would include getting kindergarten students on the same buses as seniors. I didn't say it was a good idea, I said it was an idea. We also have still some, and I'm not even going to call it, again, this is not a good idea, I'm just saying it's an idea. There's still some grade levels where we could push class size to about 30, and again, that is some additional funding. And we could cut the pre-K program by one classroom, which would net about $65,000. Again, it would reduce the amount of pre-K slots that we would have available to the public. Those would be cuts. So it would be a way of reducing the cost in one area to fund some of those increases either in contract negotiations or in improvements. These ideas would be ideas where we would pass along some of the cost of operations to parents and families and people who have children in school without having to increase the tax levy. Right now we charge about $125 per student to go on the transportation at the high school only. So if you want to take the bus, you would have to pay about $125,000 unless you can show us that you're in financial straits, and kind of the same line of analysis that we do for free and reduced lunch. I know other places do $1 or $2 a day for transportation, and we have the ability to go all the way down to 7th grade. Again, it'd be quite a bit of money if we were to do that. And again, we could use that to offset some of the salaries and offset some of the costs of transportation. We could also increase the charges for pre-K. This would be not for the students who are in special needs, but those students who are the non-special ed peers. I don't think that rate has changed in many, many years. So we'll see whether that's one of the things we decide to go after. We also have a CFC program at the elementary school that's been run by the CFC Community for Citizens group. And there is the possibility that we can tie that to some of our own staff being able to run a program that's similar to this, and at the same time do morning, afternoon, perhaps including middle school, perhaps including breakfast programs. So there's a lot of things that we could add to this and perhaps come out with a little bit of money. And that's outside of increasing lunch costs. We did some analysis as to what other schools in the area are doing. We could increase it by 25 or 50 cents. So, over the course of the year, we could see some gains there. Again, if we don't cut sports or activities, we could increase the fees even though we just increased them. Like I said, none of these are ideas that I like, but